Hi, I'm Chef John Michael. I am the director of NICH, the National Institute for Culinary and Hospitality in downtown Wichita. Welcome to PantryToPlate. The series is going to be based off of making items from WSU Tech's Food Pantry and recreating those items in hopefully an economically different things that we're going to be making today. All of it is food for college students. The first one is going to be a noodle bake. I want to do something a little kind of like non-classic that we don't necessarily think of when we're thinking of ramen. But the first thing I'm going to get going is going to be for the soy sauce eggs, which are these eggs which are submerged in soy sauce. So I have some water boiling here. And I'm just going to put my eggs into a spider and lower those into the water. And then set a timer for 6 minutes and 30 seconds. And hopefully that should be enough time to go ahead and make the noodle bake. It's a pretty fast recipe, and it feeds a lot of people. I'm going to start with 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. I also tried, particularly with this recipe, almost everything is from the food pantry. And I also want a few cooking utensils. Students don't necessarily have access to a full kitchen when it comes to cooking utensils, so I'm just using a fork. You can use milk or water. Just have some skim milk there. Except for the milk, which is optional, and the spinach, which is also optional, and then the cheese on top. Everything else is from the food pantry. Okay, and don't worry if you don't get that all fully incorporated. As it cooks, it will melt. And then I'm going to add in a bag of frozen spinach, which is thawed out. I have a 13 and a 9-year-old daughter, so I'm always trying to find ways to hide healthier ingredients in some of their food. I make a lasagna that has a spinach layer, and they eat it up and they never even notice. So this is kind of a way of hiding a little bit of that green vegetable in there, so we get a bit more of a well-rounded nutritional spectrum. And then we're just going to put our ramen, 6 blocks of ramen right on top. You don't have to pre-cook them or anything. Tomatoes. I really like this ingredient. Use these a lot at home. Spread those out a little. And recipe calls for 2 cans, 2 12-ounce cans. This is just a 24-ounce can. Don't worry about getting it all the way to the sides. All you have to do is make sure that you just cover up the ramen. That's just going to make sure that the ramen gets fully cooked. Then finally, just 1 bag of cheese. And I'm at 3 minutes and 20 seconds on my timer. So far, this whole recipe taken me just over 3 minutes. And this will feed a lot of people. I would say 8 if they're really hungry, but if you easily get like a dozen meals out of this. Yeah, so about 3.5 minutes, and then you're just going to bake that at 425 for about 45 minutes, basically just until it's what we call GB&D, golden brown and delicious, and it should come out looking something like that. Movie magic. I think I like it about this. It gets nice and creamy on the bottom, and kind of get the tomato sauce on top. Two minutes left on my eggs. Just a little bit of salt in the water for the eggs as well. There we go. That is the noodle bake. Okay. Have a minute and a half left. Go ahead and get my ramen going for just classic ramen bowl.
Chef Crystal says, wow, that looks amazing. They're joining us online now.
Thank you, Crystal. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, want to put in, I assume there's like a chat or some other. It does have to be about what we're doing today. But
Andy also wants to know if you have been talking to his mom, because she still does that for me to this day. She hides all of the healthy stuff and doesn't tell me. Loves it.
Yeah, particularly with kids, it's kind of important sometimes. So yeah, just classic ramen. I like to, personally at home, we usually do these with broth or stock, but you can use the flavor packet. A little high in sodium. Don't usually quite use the whole thing. It's a little intense. Let that go. We got 18 more seconds on our eggs. It is important. I wouldn't go any less than 6.5 minutes. As you start to get more than that, the yolk does start to get more and more cooked. This is a really great way to cook eggs anytime that you really want to have a nice clean peel. Let's see. Okay. So if you're making deviled eggs or something like that, just got some ice water. Going to go ahead and shock those, because they do peel really cleanly this way. A lot of the time when people do eggs, they'll start them in cold water. That was actually the way that I was trained to do them, even in culinary school, to start them in cold water and bring it up to a boil. But actually, it does make them a lot easier to peel if you start them, have them go straight into boiling water. It's also a lot easier to be able to judge how long they're going, because recipes that have you put them in cold and bring it up to a boil, depending on the size of your pot, depending on how many BTUs your stove is putting out, it might take longer or shorter period of time for that to come to a boil. Just let that ramen go. Let that eggs cool down a little bit more. So for our classic ramen bowl, we've got some scallions, some carrots, some red cabbage, trying to make sure that we have a nice variety of colors. I also wanted to make sure that we had plenty of protein in all of these, but as protein is often one of the most expensive things, try to make use of a lot of vegetable-based proteins, and then obviously the eggs. Those coming along. This is where those years of chefing, creating asbestos fingers come in really useful. All right. got that. Do any kind of a fine cut for the carrots. This is called a gaufrette. It's basically just like a little waffle cut. These things are so easy. They're already pre-cooked, so you don't even really have to cook them. Let's see. All right, just going to go ahead and crack one of those.
Jeff, will you give our food can a peek at what you're doing?
Sure, let me move that over.
We want to see the main event. Yeah.
Okay, so you can see how easily, and these are really fresh eggs. Another trick sometimes you see for being able to peel eggs easily is just to have eggs which are a week or two old. These ones were purchased just 2 days ago, so they're really fresh. And you can just see how easily that peels. And that's still a very soft-boiled egg. So, nice gooey yolk like that. And then for the soy sauce ones, you basically just take those eggs and just submerge them in soy sauce. You can put some other things in there too if you want. You can put some rice wine vinegar or hoisin. But these I did 2 hours ago. 2 to 3 hours is usually good. And retain that nice, lovely, gooey yolk. Let's put that on the side. And I just have some very finely cut scallions. Put this in a little ice water so they get all crinkly. And that's just our classic ramen bowl. And finally, we're going to make a Thai peanut noodle salad. So I have 3 packages of ramen, which I pre-cooked. One of the health benefits of pre-cooking and chilling, actually really any starch, and then even if you reheat it, is the starch gets transformed into what's called RS3, retrograde starch, which affects how the body absorbs it. You absorb it more in your intestines, and a really positive effect of that is you don't get the same, it doesn't affect your glycemic index in the same way. And so it's better for your blood sugar and has other health benefits. Okay, for my dressing, in here I've got soy sauce, hoisin, rice wine vinegar, and just a little bit of peanut butter. You always got to be careful with the peanut butter because a little bit can go a really long way. That is 1 tablespoon each of the hoisin, soy sauce, rice wine vinegar, and just a teaspoon of the peanut butter. And then into that, I'm going to slowly drizzle my less saturated fat than pretty much any other fat or oil. The cheaper stuff with canola oil is chemically extracted, and that can have some negative health benefits. So it is beneficial to get the stuff that's labeled expeller pressed. That means that it's basically oil extracted. And you can really taste the differently neutral things like dressings, or if you make mayonnaise, or salad dressing. The cheaper ones will tend to have this almost chemically aftertaste. So just emulsifying in the canola oil to get a nice creamy dressing.
Chef, we have another question.
Go ahead.
It's coming from Crystal on Facebook. She's wanting to know, what other plant-based proteins would you recommend for budget shopping?
Oh, pretty much any beans, legumes. A really great one that people don't realize has really high protein is just green peas. That's one that's usually pretty easy to get kids to have. You always think of them as being, very, they're very sweet. They're almost like, to me, they're almost like vegetable candy. But they're actually very high in protein. And I think, but yeah, I mean, really, any beans, legumes, lentils. We're coming into soup season right now, so there's all kinds of things. Let's see. Oh, and the balsam. Okay, so working with a lot of the same ingredients, even peanuts. Also, all of your nuts are also very high in protein. So that is kind of the really big protein in this one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start off by dressing my noodles. It's really nicely covered. This has a lot of vegetables, more than a 2-to-1 ratio of starch to vegetable. A little bit of dressing really helps the colors to pop as well. I've got my scallions, save a little bit for a garnish, peanuts, same thing, and then lots of basil. Basil's a really good one to grow yourself as well around here. It grows really well in a lot of climates. It does very well in Kansas. That is pretty much it. We've got a final bowl. Makes for a really beautiful, nice, clean, crisp summer salad. Let's finish it off with just a few more of the scallions and peanuts. That's it. Okay. All right. Well, I hope this has been helpful. I think it went a little bit faster than I wanted it to, but that was kind of the idea, was to try to make some very easy, fast, simple, economical dishes, which are pretty healthy and also hopefully delicious, and something that would appeal to a broad spectrum of students.